Have you ever wondered why there are some therapists who seem to absolutely thrive in their own private practice, yet there's other therapists who are struggling so much they may even need to get another job to subsidise their income? Have you ever known that? Well, why is that? In this video, I'm going to give 3 reasons why I think that may be, and stick around for the third one because that is probably the most common. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Therapy Business School. My name is James Taylor. I'm an online counsellor, hypnotherapist, life coach, hypnotherapy supervisor. I'm also an author, a podcaster and a YouTuber. So let's get straight into this. Why is it that some private practices seem to absolutely thrive? The therapists, they even have a waiting list and they're turning people away. They haven't got the capacity. And there's some who are scratching around, barely making a living, really struggling, maybe getting a second job to subsidise, feeling the stress and the tension of that, and it's just not working for them. Here are 3 big mistakes that I think most therapists can identify with. Here's number 1. Many therapists treat their profession as being just a therapist, and you're not just a therapist. You are a therapist and a business owner. So when you change it to that title, I'm a therapist and a business owner, it changes what you do. It changes how you think. A lot of therapists treat therapy as their side hustle. I don't really like that word when it comes to therapy, but a lot of therapists can treat it as, for want of a better word, their side hustle, their part-time thing, their hobby thing that they do every now and again, part-time. When you change it to, no, I'm a therapist and a business owner, it changes the concept, because what it means is, if you're a business owner, you have to work on your business as well as in it. And a lot of therapists work in their business and not so much on it, which is the business aspect. Okay, so I wonder whether you can identify with that yourself. Are you doing this part-time? Are you identifying as a therapist? And that's great. But are you not really identifying as a business owner as well? So that's probably mistake number 1. Mistake number 2. The majority of therapists only do this certain thing. They rely on their income with one-to-one sessions only. And there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that. Because if your income is only present while you're there working, then what happens when you sleep? What happens when you go on holiday? What happens if you get poorly? What happens when you're not at work? The income stops. So if your only way of relying on your income is when you're sitting there with a client in front of you, whether online or in person, I would say that's probably the worst way to make money as a therapist. A mentor of mine, I remember him telling me a story once that the word job should be an acronym for just over broke, because it's time critical. So we don't want to do this. So what am I talking about? How else can you do it? Because we all need to sleep, we all need to rest. I would suggest thinking about making passive sources of income. Okay, now that might mean a bit of time, a bit of money, a bit of obligation, a bit of commitment to get something done. But when it's up and running, it requires very little attention. So what kind of things could be a passive source of income? Well, let's say, for instance, you wrote a book. I'm pretty sure they reckon everyone's got a book in them. I wrote a book for therapists. The link for that will be in the description. But with that, for instance, I did a physical book, then I did a Kindle version of the book, and then I went into a studio and did an audio version of the book that sits on Audible. So my book now sits in 3 places. 2 versions on Amazon, 1 on Audible. And every month I will get royalty payments based on that. It's now passive. Now, you could write a book. Could you write a book on something that interests you? Could it be something that's not therapy related at all? Could you write a book about your life? Could it be a romance novel, a sci-fi book? Could you ghostwrite it? Could you do something like writing a book? Could you do a PDF that someone can download that explains the benefits of having therapy with you? Could you do a video like this? Could you do a video that sits on your website? Because the majority of therapists don't have a video of themselves on their website. So could you do that? Could you go and give talks at seminars? Could you create your own seminar where you're the host, or could you guest on someone else's? What about if that seminar is recorded and then you get a copy of the recording and then maybe you can pass it on? Could you go into a village hall and give 10 tips for X, Y, and Z? Could those 10 tips become a PDF download? Could they become a book? Could you expand the detail? You see, there's lots and lots of ways of creating passive sources of income. And the beauty of creating a passive source of income, and I've got multiple ones, the beauty of this is that when I'm making a video like this, someone somewhere might be buying my book, and it's because it's on Amazon, it's available internationally. And I've done it where every English speaking country can buy it. Now, I don't have to make all the sales. Amazon deal with all of that. They deal with the shipping. So think about creating multiple sources of income and getting away from the idea that the only way you can make money is when a client is sitting in front of you. So that's number 2. Number 3 is probably the most common. Number 3 is probably the most common, and I see this so often on different therapy forums. Undercharging, or not charging what you're worth. Now, you are probably very similar to me. You got into therapy because you really wanted to help. You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to help people identify a power within themselves, an understanding of themselves, so they don't make the same mistakes that they made in the past. They have better quality of life. That's why I got into it. You probably got into it for the same reasons. In fact, what were the reasons you got into therapy in the first place? Put it down in the comments. Now, one of the problems with being a therapist, and this, you see this all the time, what do I charge? Now, a lot of therapists, I'm generalizing, but I'm going on stuff I've seen and stuff I've read and stuff I've heard. A lot of therapists struggle to charge their worth, and that's huge. And they say things like, well, I shouldn't be pricing myself out where people can't afford me. And it's not right that only certain people on a certain income can afford to get help and some can't. Remember number 1, where you're a therapist and a business owner? This is where I would encourage you to bring this into this problem. What would a business owner do? Let's say you've got 1,000 therapists and 999 have the viewpoint, I'm going to keep my prices low because that means anyone can afford me. Well, if you're the one out of 1,000 that says, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to charge more for my services because I have more belief that what I do has more of a profound impact for the client. Really, the 999 other therapists, there's still going to be clients for them. All right? There's not going to be a time where potential clients run out of potential therapists because there's 999 who are holding that belief. You can be the one that says, no, I'm not going to charge X amount of money for my sessions. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to charge this. And you start charging more for what you do. Now that might be £5 more, £10, might be a few £100, who knows? I want to give you a concept. Suppose you had a really, really nice picture and you wanted to put it on a shelf that doesn't yet exist in your living room, and you want to display it there because it is the most beautiful picture. Maybe it's family, friends, an event, a memory, whatever it is. But you haven't got the shelf yet, and you haven't got the tools like a drill to screw a shelf to a wall. So what you would need to do is you probably need to go and get a drill. Now you're not buying a drill because you want a drill. You're buying the drill because what you need the drill to make the hole so you can put the plugs in the wall, so you can screw the shelf to the wall, so you can put that picture on that shelf. Now, you don't need the drill after that, but it was needed for the moment because that shelf is probably going to be up there for as long as you live in that property. And you might see this thing daily. This might be a memory for you that every day you see it just there. And that lasts for years and years and years. Okay? This is what therapy is. Therapy is helping the client get to where they want to get to. They're not paying you for therapy. They're paying you for the outcome of going to therapy. And think about this. Imagine someone's had anxiety for 10 years, a decade. They've lived with anxiety. And it disturbs and it causes problems in every aspect of their life. Imagine if you were the person to help them resolve them. Give them new tools. Make them realise they have more options for themselves. They can think of things in a different way. They do and have dealt with the trauma that's causing the anxiety. And you were part of that. You were helping them get that rubbish out the way for them. I think that's worth something, don't you? So this is why number 3 is probably the most common and maybe the most difficult. What do I charge my clients? So start thinking of yourself as you're a therapist, but you're also a business owner. And what would you do for your business? Because it is another problem. If you keep yourself in a low financial bracket by charging the bare minimum, you're probably going to have to work like a dog. And that's probably going to lead to burnout and stress and anxiety for you. And if that happens, then you can't help anyone, or your capacity to help has been massively reduced. Don't forget, there's the 999 other therapists who will deal and help clients who can't afford you. Okay, so you're not denying clients help. Those people are there as well. If you charge more, if you charge what you're worth, not only is your anxiety about finances probably going to reduce or be removed, you're probably going to be more content. And because you're going to be earning more, if you come across a client who you really want to work with, but they haven't got the funds for your normal price, you can either then work at a reduced rate or even pro bono. And I've done that. There's been clients that I've thought, I think I'd be such use to you that I'm prepared to go the extra mile. Now, I can only do that because of what I charge over here. If my fees were down here, I wouldn't be able to offer that kind of service. I'd have to say, look, I'd love to be able to help, but I've got to put food on my table. Okay, so don't make the mistake of number 3. So these are the 3 mistakes that I believe a lot of therapists are making, and I've made all of them. Okay, so I'm not no Jedi sitting on the top of a mountain in a loincloth. I'm speaking from experience myself. There was a time when I didn't charge what I was worth. There was a time when I didn't really treat it as a business. And there was a time when seeing therapists was my only source of income. Managed to change those things, things changed for me. And I believe I'm a much happier and more relaxed version of me because of it. All right? So hope these have helped. If they have, and you found this video useful, I ask this in every one, please do the like, the share, and the subscribe. Remember to ring that bell. When you ring the bell, what happens is you get notified every time I make a new video. If you'd also like to join my free Facebook group, the link for that will be in the description below, and there's loads of things down there as well. And a big thank you, and I should have mentioned this at the start of the video, a big thank you to all the people who've been watching these videos, because I've just hit 24,000 views. Yeah, not everyone is subscribing. So if you like these videos, please do subscribe. It helps me out massively. It's free for you to do. And it tells YouTube this is worth sharing around and spreading the love. So until the next time I see you, this is James, and this is Therapy Business School. Bye-bye.